Insane. Hi, welcome back to PC Builder. I'm Jason. This is Boost My Build, the series where we take your PC part picker list, we tear them up, we put them back together, and we massively increase your performance. And we've got crazy builds this month. We've got a $600 budget build with terrible CPU and GPU combo that absolutely needs to be destroyed. And we've got a $6,000 Godzilla build that's just got all the wrong components and spending money in all the wrong places. Remember, if you get value out of the video, give it a like. It makes a huge difference to the channel, especially this guy right here. And of course, subscribe and click that bell icon. That way you get notified when we release cool content. With that, let's jump into it. This video is sponsored by Squarespace, giving you a powerful online platform to create your own website. Create a community with powerful blogging tools and integrated comment system, and display your latest social media posts. Connect with your audience and generate revenue through members-only content. Manage members, send emails, and leverage audience insights in one easy-to-use platform. And e-commerce is easy with inventory management, product promotion, and streamlined bookkeeping. Visit squarespace.com/PCBuilder to sign up for a free trial and get 10% off your first purchase. Okay, we've got Rupert Plays, love the name. They like the Boost My Build series, glad you like the series, and they're looking into building their own PC. They want 100 plus FPS, high settings, games such as Forza Horizon 5. They want ray traced Minecraft at 1440p. Their budget's about $1,800, but they can go up by 50 bucks. They care about aesthetics, but they're not going to be doing any kind of video editing. So let's jump in to see what you got. Oh, okay. I never know how to react to these builds, because on the one hand, this build's fine. On the other hand, we spent $1,700, $1,678, and we have just not a great amount of performance here. I'm not happy with the performance level at all. First of all, yes, I'm going to give you a pass because these builds, I asked them to be submitted before the 4070 was publicly announced and publicly launched. So I'm going to give you a pass on not knowing the 4070 was coming, because you're getting an RTX 3070 for $569, and for 30 bucks more, you could have gotten a 4070, which is a way better GPU. I don't think that's a good GPU, but it's a way better GPU than what we're getting here. 3070s right now, only 8 gigs of VRAM. I just think these cards, they're still getting charged $500 even for the cheapest ones. I would just really question getting 8 gigs of VRAM, especially for 1440p and the stuff that you're looking to do. Don't love the 13600KF4R build. I do love the CPU, it's great, but you just said you're not doing any video editing, you're not doing any productivity work. I don't see any reason to go Intel right now, given their pricing. If they drop prices on this and they want to compete more on the gaming side with Ryzen, then certainly this might make a lot more sense. But to me, this is a hybrid CPU, gaming and productivity CPU. We're just overspending right here, and we've really shortchanged our GPU as a result. You went with the Deepcool LS320. I mean, it's a $90 120mm all-in-one liquid cooler. Now, it's very performative. Deepcool's done a great job with this whole lineup. We actually used the 360 version in our 7900X Ryzen 7000 launch build, and it was super amazing, don't get me wrong. But the 240mm version is only 20 bucks more. I just don't understand why we just didn't go that direction instead. I don't like the Z790 boards, I'll be honest with you. The only difference between the Z790 is for DDR5, the traces are better on these motherboards than the Z690 boards. And if you want super fast DDR5, they will more reliably clock to those higher speeds. You can do it on Z690, it's just a little harder. It's just not gonna give you the same level of compatibility. That being said, this is a very entry-level board for $220. There are great boards with tons of features that are Z690 that we should be looking at instead. Again, so we went Z790 to get those better traces on the boards, and then we got super slow DDR5. We got 4800 CL38, only 16 gigs for $84. I like the Kingston Fury Beast lineup. I think they look nice. I love the RGB on them. Strongly recommend them, not at this speed though. And if you are gonna go at this speed trying to save some money, then go DDR4 3600 CL16 will get faster and better results than this kit will right here. I like the case, Cooler Master Masterbox TD500. My big problem with this case has been the price. It's been way overpriced. $89 right now. $89 is a great deal for this case. Really do like it. You will need one more fan. I think what you're gonna do is you're trying to put that 120mm all-in-one liquid cooler back here. Instead, I'd just go with a 240. I like the power supply Corsair RM850X, probably very appropriate for this rig. This drive's super expensive. I don't really know why. I'm not actually that familiar with a Legend 960. This is kind of a new one by me. 80 bucks for 1 terabyte though. That's the cost of 2 terabytes right now. So kind of looks neat there, but you know, we were going to put it under a heat shield anyway, so who cares, right? So for $1,678, I'm just not happy with the level of performance we've got here. We've got super slow DDR5 memory. We overspent on our motherboard. We're overspending on our CPU, and we're massively undersizing our poor little GPU. 8 gigs of VRAM in 2023 for 1440p. I called this the $1,850 insane 1440p 240 FPS gaming PC, because you are going to get an amazing amount of performance. I decided to go ahead and maximize your budget. I know you said you could go up to $1,850, so that's basically what we did. And just seconds ago, some prices changed, so we finished at $1,869. I tried to adjust it down just a little bit, but honestly, I'm going to recommend you go $1,869 just because of the amazing amount of performance on this thing, and I'll give you an alternative if you can't go up that much. Let's start off with the GPU because that's also your alternative. We went with the RX 7900 XTX. Now, I know you said, Jason, I also want Minecraft RTX. Minecraft RTX for the 7900 XTX, not bad. You're going to get between, I think it's like 30-ish FPS, everything maxed out at 4K, or you're gonna get like, I believe about 40 FPS at 1440p. If you want, you can swap this out to the RTX 4070 Ti. It is about $200 cheaper. That's where you can definitely save a little bit of money if you want. But I just think, especially since you said you wanted 100 plus FPS and all those other titles at 1440p, this is gonna give you an insane amount of performance. So because we maximized out that GPU, I'm just trying to get a CPU that's not gonna bottleneck it. We went with the Ryzen 5 7600. This is a great CPU for your GPU. Yes, if you can afford going a little faster on the CPU, I probably would do that. 7700 would be great. 7800 X3D obviously would be the dream, but we're probably quite a ways away in terms of overall budget. You probably need about more like $2,200 for that. I just went with a regular Deepcool AG400 ARGB cooler. This is a great box cooler. Now you can use the included Ray Stealth cooler instead if you want to save a little bit of money, but if you want to kind of make sure you go to Precision Boost Overdrive, this cooler will give you really everything you need. Looks great, ARGB, 30 bucks. What do you want? For the motherboard, it looked like you didn't mind not having like all the included extra features on it, so I just went with an affordable Gigabyte B650 MDS3H for $150. As I've said in the past on these Ryzen 7000 boards, they have price gated the better audio solutions behind much more expensive boards like 230, 240 plus. If you want better audio, I recommend buying an external DAC given the huge price difference. And this motherboard right here is good enough for any of the Ryzen 7000 CPUs, including the 7950X. We paired that with a really affordable memory kit. This is the Alloy Blade RGB 16 gigabyte kit, 2x8 gigabytes, DDR5 5600 CL36. It's only $83 right now for some reason. A PC part picker is not pulling in the price, but I just checked Newegg. Really do like this kit. Again, $83 to $90 depending on when you buy it from Newegg. Pretty good deal. For the storage, we got you 2 terabytes of storage for $80. Actually, cheaper than that 1 terabyte drive that you were gonna get. Listen, the Silicon Power A60 is all you need. If you want to spend another 10, 20 bucks on a PCIe Gen 4 drive or one with DRAM, go right ahead. But honestly, this is going to give you everything you need at a super affordable price. For the case, I've downsized the case since we have a micro ATX motherboard. I know some people don't like the look of a micro ATX motherboard in an ATX size case. So I simply got you the same Cooler Master mesh version that you were looking at, but I got you the micro ATX version on sale right now for like $67. Really great deal. For the power supply, I went with a slightly cheaper unit. I went with the ADATA XPG core reactor, 750 watt, fully modular. This is a great PSU. Also A-tier rated. It's just a little bit cheaper than the one you were looking at. I'm trying to get you under that $1,850. And then I did include one more fan. You're going to need one rear fan. I went with the Arctic P12 RGB fan because Deepcool, I can't find anywhere they sell their individual fans. Deepcool, start selling your own fans on Amazon or something. I would certainly buy one. So overall, for $1,869, this is going to give you an insane amount of performance. 4K, super high refresh rate if you want, 1440p, insane refresh rates, including pretty decent ray tracing performance in Minecraft. Or you can go with that 4070 Ti if you want. We got you an adequate CPU that's not going to break the bank on this one. Double the amount of storage space that you were looking at. Massively fixed your RAM problem. Overall, just an insane amount of performance for $1,869. So I hope you feel like your build is boosted. We've got Gamers Hardware Repair. It says, I want to make a build for my friend's younger brother, but he's not very good at saving money. I mean, who really is, right? So they tried to cut off as much as they could. I can already see this is a huge budget build here. Can they cut even more without losing performance? They think their CPU and GPU combo should work fine together. Oh my gosh, as we read this, I'm getting more and more afraid here. And they want to keep somewhat of an RGB aesthetic in mind, but the case and the cooler is all we got. $650. Let's see what you've got. Make it stop. What am I talking about? about? Well, you finished at $600, $599.91. So you still have 50 bucks left over, and I just don't understand your CPU GPU combo. It kills me to see anybody trying to buy an RX 6500 XT, even for $168 right now. Honestly, for any prices, doesn't have any kind of encoding on it, absolutely requires PCIe Gen 4. What AMD, and I don't blame you, I blame AMD on this. What they did is they took a laptop engineered GPU designed for laptops with PCIe Gen 4, and they're selling it as a desktop graphics card, and it's an absolute terrible value. Nobody should buy this. You can get a used RX 580 for 80 bucks, and you get more performance with an actual encoder, decoder. Just don't buy this GPU. For the CPU, I don't mind the Ryzen 5600. I think we probably could look at dropping down here to the i3 1200F for more price to performance, but you probably saw our recent 5600 guide. 5600 starts to make a lot of sense in this price range, as long as you have a GPU that's fast enough to take advantage of the difference in basically CPU between the i3 1200F and the 5600, which we just don't have. Big mistake buying an aftermarket cooler for $33. This is a great cooler, by the way. I'm not dissing the cooler. I'm dissing the decision to buy a cooler when our CPU comes with a perfectly acceptable box cooler that'll work just fine for us, and that $30 could have gone into our GPU. For the motherboard, I don't love this motherboard. I'm sure it would probably work, although it does not have any BIOS flashback on it. Let's just pull it up here. You can just see, like, there's no VRM heat sinks on it. It's only 2 capacitors on the audio section. Looks cut down to me, super cut down. For like $15 or $20 more, we could have gotten a much better motherboard with way better quality on it that actually would allow us in the future to upgrade to something maybe like a 5800X3D. I just don't know about this board at all. I like the memory. You went with DDR4 3200 CL16, pretty cheap kit, and a kit that looks really nice. I do like the Team Force Vulcan Z. We use these all the time, so good job on the RAM. For the drive, you just went for a cheap 500 gigabyte drive, even though it's PCIe Gen 4. Some of the PCIe Gen 4 drives that don't have DRAM are now super cheap like this. For the case, I know you think this is an RGB case because of this picture here, but it's actually not. This case, unfortunately, just comes with one black rear fan, so you actually need a couple more fans to kit this build out. Whether or not you want RGB is up to you. You can buy a kit of in-wind fans, RGB ones, for like $27, but just know that as it's kitted out now, you don't have enough fans and there's no RGB on it. Power supply, absolutely fine. BM2, whatever this is, Thermaltake Smart. It's a C tier or higher rated PSU, 550 watts, $54 right now. The PSU market has gotten overinflated for whatever reason, maybe lack of supply. That's about what you're gonna pay entry level for these kinds of units. So overall, for $599, you just left so much performance on the table. I'm not telling you that this won't play games. This absolutely will play games, especially easy like CSGO, GTA 5, that kind of stuff. And it would play kind of acceptable-ish frame rates. But for the same amount of money, we might have gotten a screaming amazing gaming system, and I just don't think this is gonna age that well. I called this the $650 huge value 1440p or high FPS 1080p build. Now, I almost squeezed in a Ryzen 5600 in here for $647, but you can see we did switch to the Intel platform because I wanted to make sure they get the biggest GPU that we could afford. Let's jump into that. We went with the ASRock Challenger Radeon RX 6650 XT. Great GPU. This is going to give you 1440p, 60 FPS levels of performance in kind of all titles at good settings, or just insane amounts of FPS at 1080p for $260. Now, you could also go here with the Intel Arc A750, great GPU. You can also come down $60 and go with just the regular vanilla RX 6600 non-XT card for $199 now that price has come down if you want to save a little bit of money. I just think for the amount of performance more that you get with this, that extra 60 bucks does make a huge difference, and this is the direction I would go. I swapped out the Ryzen 5600. I like the 5600 quite a bit, and if I had a little bit more money, I would definitely go with it. It'll squeeze out more performance out of our 6650 XT, even though we don't have enough to jump up to the next GPU tier. That's why I really do like it. But i3 1200F, $99, really tough to beat. There's been some price cuts on this CPU as well. And the B660 motherboards, the good news about the 1200F is you can kind of pick whatever B660 motherboard out there. I know it's more of a minefield if you want to go with the i5 12400, because as we found, some of the boards don't run that CPU at the full rated frequency, but they all seem to be just fine with the 1200F. For the motherboard, we went with a Gigabyte B660M DS3H, and it's got Wi-Fi on it. Look at that, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth for $99. $50. Great value motherboard. I absolutely like this one for the 1200F. We did it in our i3 1200F build guide. This is the board that we use. Worked really great out of the box for it. 4 actual audio capacitors down here, an actual VRM heatsink, pretty decent little motherboard. For the RAM kit, you can still stick with your RAM kit if you want. I decided to save $3 more. I went with a Silicon Power X Power turbine. It's just a nice little kind of blue kit. So I know you wanted some RGB to it, so I just wanted to add some color accents. You can actually, for another $10, get the RGB version of this RAM as well. We've used it in a number of builds, including I think the i3 1200F, if not the 12400 guide. Looks really, really nice. But either way, about $35 to $45 on the RAM here is good. DDR4 3200 CL16. For the drive, I actually got you a full terabyte of space. I went with the Silicon Power A60. It's only $12 more than the drive that you were gonna buy. Again, don't need PCIe Gen 4. This is perfectly acceptable for what we're doing. And you get a full 1 terabyte of space for $43. For the case, I actually got you a full RGB case. It has an RGB light strip on it, and it comes with 4 included ARGB fans. So this is your RGB that you were looking for. Honestly, $54. I really do like the S500. I think it's a great case for budget builders. I know it's a little unconventional because the airflow comes from the bottom. Now you can reconfigure this case, by the way. You can actually use the side ports instead, as you've seen like right here. You can use these 2 side ports. I actually swapped out your power supply for the GX2 just because it's on sale right now. 600 watts for the same price. Also C tier rated. Figure why not give you the extra 50 watts for free essentially. That's a Newegg right now with a $10 mail-in rebate, or you can stick to the one that you have. I think you get it at Amazon for the $55 price. So overall for $647, we're gonna give you a PC capable of playing the latest titles at 1440p 60 FPS, or just really cranking it out at 1080p, especially if you're into esports shooters or older titles. You're gonna get tons and tons of frames. I think you're really gonna enjoy this. We also got you a full terabyte of space, 1 terabyte of space, and some serious real RGB while upgrading your motherboard to something I would feel proud to put in a PC case. So I hope you feel like your build is boosted. All right, Rock Band Expert says, hi Jason, been patiently waiting for the next Boost My Build. Well, guess what? You are in absolute luck. Their intended use is PC gaming, 1440p quality, 240 hertz. All right, we'll check that out. And they want it to be fully capable of streaming, video editing, pretty much everything right down the line. They don't have a specifically set budget, but $6,000. Yeah, we can get this done for $6,000. This is also gonna be their very first PC build. So what we have here is a Mega Godzilla build, and it'll be really interesting to see. We haven't done one of these in a while. How has the PC market changed? What can you get now for this money? And is this a build that we're gonna recommend for a first-time builder? Holy Toledo, look at this build. It's totally insane. These Godzilla builds are always insane. We're overspending. We've got definitely bit by the Corsair virus. I can see right off the top. Look at all that Corsair stuff. It's crazy, crazy. We got bit by the having too much money virus, which forced us to buy the most expensive thing, thinking that's a substitute for the best thing and the best thing for us, which is not the case, actually, not the case. So let's dive in. You spent $7,266. Now I'm going to give you credit back for these 2 Corsair Xenion monitors down here. So you finished about $6,000 or so. So you finished right at your budget for the tower. But let's talk about the monitors for a second. I actually like these. They're good monitors. I like that the prices come way down on them. That's great. I didn't realize that the price had come down. But are we able to drive 240 hertz 1440p monitors in most titles? I don't think so. I don't think we need 2 of these. I'd rather have seen an ultra wide out there. Even with the 4090, I think would struggle on a lot of titles, unless you just want to play CSGO and stuff that's like super, super easy to run. And then for the graphics card, you spent $1,800 on a 3090 Ti. Ooh, it burns. It burns. Again, I think our problem here is that we decided we had to have this one. In fact, as I clicked on here, the price even went up. We had to have the most expensive one. So we went out and found the most expensive one, and probably someone told you that EVGA was great in terms of graphics cards. Yeah, they don't make NVIDIA graphics cards anymore, so they don't make RTX 4090s. So you went out and just found the most expensive one, and unfortunately, you got a card with about half the level of performance that you really deserve for more money than you could buy a 4090 for. I don't mind the CPU so much. Ryzen 9 7950X, I think is a pretty good choice. I would probably prefer the 7950X 3D if we want to go big like that, and we're going to go with the super high-end everything, but it's totally out of stock everywhere. So you're kind of faced with either waiting for it, or you got to buy the 7900X 3D, could consider the 13900K here as well. This motherboard's totally insane. This is the ROG Crosshair X670 Extreme. It's $1,000, $1,000. This is really for high-end overclockers. This is not for you. This is for high-end overclockers. People are going to do kind of crazy stuff with their PC that you are never going to even want to think about. So we could get a board, and if you want a Strix board and an X670, we can get you one for like half this price. It'll give you the features that you need. So there's no reason to, and this is also an EATX board, just a bigger board. It's heavy. It's going to add to the weight of the overall build. We don't need this thing. I don't love the RAM setup here. I don't like going 4x16. Why do we do that? And I don't like the speed either for Ryzen 7000. 6600 CL32, we just found that anything over 6000 just does not help Ryzen 7000, honestly. Really, it's about tightening up those sub timings, especially the cast latency on them. And this is an XMP kit, not an Expo kit. And just because it's Corsair does not mean it's good for what we're doing. Intel systems don't seem to run well with 4 sticks, that's for sure, on DDR5. Ryzen runs a little bit better, a little bit more stably with 4 sticks, but why do that? Why not just get, if you want 64 gigs, we could get in 2x32. I'm not convinced you need 64 gigs. I think 32 would probably be fine for you, but if we are going to get 64 gigs, there's a lot cheaper kits that are a lot more appropriate. You went with this silly expensive Corsair MP6000 drive, and you're spending like $200 just for them to put this heatsink on top. You know they sell it without the heatsink because you're getting the 8 terabyte one here for $1,129. They sell it without the heatsink for like $900, right? And the crazy thing is your motherboard comes with a heatsink you could have used instead. And if you want to use that heatsink instead of the Corsair one here because you think it looks cooler, if you remove this, it's going to void your warranty. So you spent a lot of money to get a piece of metal attached to this thing that you really don't need. And I also just don't love 8 terabytes as a single drive. If you want to have a super efficient video editing high-end professional rig, let's get a boot drive, let's get a scratch drive, and then let's get a storage drive. And we could do all that with 8 terabytes for probably half the price. I don't love the Corsair iQ 7000X case. I know where we went with it because we'll talk about the cooler next, which is totally crazy. This is a big case. So you're going to have a hard time with cables actually reaching all the way to stuff. I don't love it for a beginner. The other thing is super duper heavy. I have a hard time lifting up the 5000X case that we did our 7900X build in. It does come with the Corsair iQ Commander, but you can buy that. It's the ARGB hub, which you do need the hub because Corsair or the RGB environment, it's all proprietary. They don't use standard plugs. They use their own proprietary 4-pin stuff. I absolutely hate that they do that, but you can buy that controller for like, I think $25 or $30. We don't need to spend all this money on the case instead. And then you went with the H170i. This is a 420 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler Corsair, and it's like what, $240 or whatever. And it really constrains our case selection. That's probably why you went with this 7000X instead of the 5000X, because this doesn't fit in the 5000X, I believe. I would have rather gone 360. Ryzen 7950X does not need this level of cooling. I'm sure you watched some reviews and, oh my gosh, high temperatures. I really wish reviewers hadn't hyped that up. I feel like that's driven people to pursue solutions that just don't make any sense for them. So overall, 7266, you know, so about $6,000. We're just not getting anywhere the performance that we should be, and we can do a lot better. I called this the $4,600 insane 1440p 240 hertz ultimate gaming and creator PC. This Godzilla PC is going to completely destroy that pretender Godzilla PC that you were putting together. Now you say, Jason, but the build cost here says $6,414. Yes, that's because I have completely redesigned the monitor setup. Forget those two 240 hertz monitors, 1440p. We're going to get you an OLED Corsair Xenon Flex. This is a 45 inch, so it's an ultra wide 240 hertz amazing gaming monitor. It's the Flex, so you can actually, there it is. You get to pull it forward, whatever you want. You want it flat, you want it curved, and it's OLED. So you're going to get that amazing HDR gaming experience that I think you deserve. I feel like we're spending so much money on this PC. We definitely deserve something like this. So that's $1,800. Yes, more money than you were going to spend on it, but the overall cost of the setup has come down by $800, and we're getting way better visuals with this thing. For the graphics card, we went with an RTX 4090. I just went ahead and grabbed the MSI Gaming Trio. You can honestly just pick whichever one you like the best. $1,600, you can get a 4090. That's a MSRP. This is going to give you double the performance of that RTX 3090 Ti that you were going to spend way too much money on. For the CPU, I stuck it out with the 7950X. Alternatively, we could have gone 13900K here. I consider that, but the great thing about this build for this platform, especially since we're spending so much on like the motherboard and everything, is that we're going to be able to drop in future Ryzen upgrades into this thing seamlessly. So I think the future upgradability really outweighs 13900K here, given how much we're going to spend. For the motherboard, we went with the ROG Strix X670E-F, a much more sane choice. This is going to give you really all the features you need for about $420, not $1,000. And we're investing that extra money in your cool monitor. So we're actually upgrading your overall gaming experience by right-sizing things like your motherboard, for instance, which is still an amazing motherboard. Gonna have all the features that you need for a lot less money. For the cooler, in order to right-size everything, we came down to a 360mm all-in-one liquid cooler, but you're like, Jason, this one's more expensive. Yeah, because it comes with the LCD screen on it. You can put anything you want on this little LCD. You want to watch cartoons on it, let's go bling. If you want to go bling, let's go bling. Ryzen 7950X does not need that 420mm. This is completely appropriate for it, and it's going to give us a lot more bling for our money. For the RAM, we came down just a standard kit. This is the one that AMD has recommended and sent out to reviewers. G-Skill Trident Z5 Neo. Now this is with Expo timings on it. DDR5 6000CL30, and this is an RGB version of it, and this is the 64 gig version, 2 by 32 gigs, so we're not going to stress out the memory controller with 4 sticks, we're just going to go 2 sticks. We will not have any compatibility issues with it. $286 is also half the price of the RAM kit you were looking at, and it's a much better fit for our system. I got you the Corsair MP600, you seem like you wanted it, but I got you the one without the stupid expensive heatsink on it. $429 for 4 terabytes on it. In addition to this drive, I went ahead and saved a little bit of money. I got the Samsung 980 Pro 2 terabyte. I got 2 of them, but that way each of the drives has its own controller and own DRAM, kind of its own cache basically, working to process independently. That's going to give you max speed. For the case, we went with the Corsair iCUE 5000X, slightly smaller, better dimensions on it, and it does come with a RGB controller. It comes with one that will accept up to 7 fans, and then it plugs into your USB 2.0, and it's a lot cheaper, $169. I did add in 4 more Corsair iCUE fans. Unfortunately, there's not like a 4-pack that you can get at $100. We stuck it out with your power supply, which HX 1200 Platinum, perfectly fine. Actually, pretty good price now for it for $275. So for $6,414, we gave you a real GPU in the RTX 4090. We straightened out your crazy RAM situation, your crazy SSD situation. We right-sized your motherboard and the cooler, and we reinvested all of that money to get you an insane 45-inch 1440p ultra-wide OLED monitor that flexes. For that price, I hope you feel like your build is boosted. Check out the link to our sponsor Squarespace for a free trial and 10% off your first purchase. Remember, if you got value out of the video, give it a like, as it makes a huge difference to the channel, especially this guy right here. And of course, subscribe, click that bell icon, that way you get notified when we release cool content. Speaking of cool content, did you miss our how to build a PC and how to set up a PC after you build? If so, we'll leave them linked right here. Check it out. They're really awesome videos, and we'll catch you on the next one.